we were in the room, ma'am, because when we go outside, because we are in a company visa, we can't go outside and work. If the police catch, it's a problem for us. That's why we were in the room for 3 months.
You were trapped there, in other words.
Yeah, really. And Amnesty people came, ma'am, they have supported us. And our MD told us we will pay the salary and everything and you can go back to the home ground. But till now we didn't receive a single point from him. The embassy was hopeless to help us. And some of the people went to the court and there was a case. And our admin people came and told if you need to go back, you just withdraw the case from the court and you can go back. And we all people went and signed in the court and after that some of the people went to their home ground. Actually the thing I came here, I went in straight, I spoke to my sponsor, my mom was comforting when I want to go to my native. And after that I got my
Trying to level off all these frozen lumps of mud here, clay. Developers are really fussy about how they want things to look after we go and put our utilities in, and well, you can't make things look like it was in the summertime and the wintertime because it's frozen. So developers always have these unrealistic expectations. They don't care what time of year it is or anything like that, so just do the best I can. If you're wondering why some of the holes are still open, it's because they still have to test some of the gas pipes. They have to, all the connections have to be soap tested. If the soap makes any bubbles, then they know they've got a leak. They pressurize gas lines with, I think it's carbon dioxide, CO2. Or, no, it's nitrogen, sorry, because it's inert and won't react with anything. So they'll pressurize lines, and then they'll test all the connections, and then once we get the go ahead, then we can backfill the rest of it and try and level it all off. You can sort of see sometimes I grab a bit of snow as I go along because I got all these big lumps in here. You can see behind my bucket there, I sorted out all the real big ones I couldn't really break up very well, and I'll save them for later. If I've got a big hole or gap somewhere, I can fill them in. I obviously can't drop them in on the utilities because they'll break something. It's not the best to go and do this, but sometimes it's the only choice you got. Sometimes we can hide them somewhere. Once springtime comes and the frost comes out, and those lumps just fall apart instantly. They just go. They look like a big chunk, and then you go to dig into them with a machine or something like that, and then they just fall apart. In some ways, frost is your friend. Other times, it's a fucking pain in the ass. A friend of mine in Australia says I should go move to Australia. Have to put up with this shit. I don't know if I could ever afford to do that. I think it's gonna more expensive there than it is here, but it's a nice lot though. Year-round summer, oh yeah. Every day is a nice day then, even if it's raining, to me that's still a nice day. So I just do my best and I try to tidy this up and make it look nice, and if anybody gives me shit, well, I guess I have to bend over and take it. I don't know. Bunch of assholes. It's snowing pretty good today too. Keep having to jump outside and clean off the wiper. I wish the wipers were heated. If I get any fines, like fine dirt or whatever, then I'll take that and rub it on the top kind of thing, fill in all the gaps. It's like doing brick work almost, just with an excavator. What I really wish wish I had was what they call a riddle bucket or a skeleton bucket. Then I could sort of sift out the big chunks, throw them to the side until I need them. Scrape up all the, well, I wouldn't be able to scrape up the fine stuff without the big ditching bucket, but I could sort of sift out the fine stuff onto all this chunky shit here. Fill in all the gaps and probably make it a little faster, a little easier. But this is what happens when you have to work for somebody else. piece of pipe that leads off of the valve, I don't know, 10, 15 feet. And then those, these 2x4s just mark where the pipe is and where the valve is. But the contractor that did most of this work, I don't know, they must have had an amateur running their dozer when they were grading all of this, because he broke off a lot of our stakes and then broke off all these 2x4s, and then some of them weren't even put in properly, they're all sticking out sideways, so I tried fixing some of them, but like I said, the dozer went and ran over a whole bunch, so it's their own damn fault. So over the next year or so, as they build houses and they put in the water line connections, the guys that do all the water and sewer connections will have a fun time trying to find their pipes, and unless it gets fixed up properly this spring. Also waiting for the useless foreman here to bring me a tank of fuel. Running down on fumes. Nice guy, but never has much of a plan, and he always changes his mind what he wants to do. So we don't get very much done. We have a whole bunch of open trench here because they're pushing to get this done as fast as possible, and it's just not possible. We have hardly any manpower. And then he keeps starting and stopping little jobs here and there. Oh, we'll go open up a trench over here. We'll go open up a trench over there. Well, before you know it, we've got all this trench opened up and services, and it's been really windy lately, and they've all been filling up with snow, and because there's already some pipe and cable in these trenches, we can't really go and clean them out with a backhoe, even though we did it a couple times. And so some of them are full right up to the top. They're even with the ground. You wouldn't even know that there was a trench there, except for a pile of dirt covered in snow that's right beside it. So we were in there with big snow scoops shoveling it out. Pack it all down, and it actually works pretty good.